I'm moving forward every day. Jesus, I just let him lead the way. Every second, every minute, every hour of the day. I'm moving with Jesus every day. 24/7 with Jesus every day. 24/7. I'm moving with Jesus. I'm moving with Jesus every day.
Great is the Lord and greatly to be praised. I'm so ecstatic about how the Lord is making interventions in people's lives and causing a transformation that is beyond words. To say that he is awesome does not do him justice. The person in our studio today really should not be alive. But after hearing his testimony, if you do not believe that there is a God, then I want to advise that you should check the obituary. Maybe your name is found right there, because you have to be dead to not believe that there is a God. Michael Charles, thank you for taking the time to be with us on JC 24/7.
Thank you, Pastor.
Good. And let's get straight to our testimony for today. You are a believer at present.
Yes, I
Okay,
am.
but you were not always a believer.
No, I was not.
What was Michael Charles like when he was much younger?
Well, actually, I came from a very large and poor family.
Right.
My father was an alcoholic, so I came from a family with a background of alcohol and stuff. I never had much schooling. I hated school because most of the things that I had to wear to school was hand-me-downs and stuff. So I literally hated school. My father realizing that even though I left home for school, I would not attend. My shirt couldn't go into my pants. So it was more or less to me like a sort of an abusive relationship with me and the teachers, because I would get licks when I go to school.
Okay, because your shirt was too short.
Yes, my shirt was too short, and then my pants couldn't button.
Oh, it couldn't button. Okay.
You know, so I hated school. So I really didn't learn anything in school.
Right.
Hence the reason why I was deemed as an illiterate.
Okay.
You know, as a result of that, I started following bad company.
Right.
And one thing led to another. Already establishing the fact that my father was an alcoholic, I knew where he kept his alcohol. And whilst growing up, he would always give us a cork full of the rum or wine or whatever he was drinking, and to take one for the worms, you know. So
Right.
I grew up, you know, getting accustomed to that, not understanding at that time that it was the beginning
Wow.
of something that was going to be really catastrophic for me.
Wow. You had plenty worms then.
Yes,
so to
you
speak.
know, until it came to a point where I started stealing
Uh-oh.
the alcohol and diluting it with water,
Oh.
so that my father would miss his alcohol.
Oh, okay. Oh,
You know,
okay.
he eventually found out, well, you know, he dealt with me in a way that wasn't treated.
Right. So you were not so illiterate after all, eh?
No, you know, like one person was saying, yeah, I was mad but not stupid.
Okay, there you go.
You know, and my illness progressed from there. I started following bad company.
This is how old you're talking about when you started drinking?
I was at a very tender age, around 6 or 7 years.
6 years, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very, very tender age.
Wow, 6 years, they say, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, from the time I could remember myself, I knew my father drinking alcohol.
Right.
You know, and he would give us the cigarette butt to go and chew and or to out, go and put this in the ashtray, and I would go under the house, you know, and smoke it down to the sponge and all of that.
Wow.
my addiction started from even that age,
Right.
and I didn't know.
Right.
But because addiction is a progressive illness, it progressed to the point where all of those things after a time, um, by the age of 12, those things, didn't affect me. It had no effect on me anymore.
Wow.
So I
12.
wanted something, I wanted something stronger.
Not even a teenager yet.
No, not
Wow.
even a teenager.
Wow.
I started smoking marijuana at the age of 11. You know,
Wow.
started smoking marijuana at the age of 11, unknowing to my family. You know, I was able to hide, and smoke my marijuana and stuff.
So you became a poly addict, I imagine.
Yes.
Right.
And I did that for a number of years. When my father realized that, and at the age of 12, I was able to purchase my marijuana because I was already working. My father took me out of school, realizing that I wasn't going to school in the first place, So he took me off the streets because I was more or less on the streets, and carried me to work with him. That only made things worse for me because I felt like I was a big man now. I was looking for my own money,
Right.
and so I got involved with people who was doing all the wrong things, partying, looking for girls. Well, girls used to look for me. I was really good looking.
All right. Okay.
And so I did all the wrong things until at one point I became totally uncontrollable because I felt like a big man.
Right.
And I felt like I belonged because
This is how old you're talking about?
I was just about 12, 13 years.
12, 13, like a big man?
Yes, because I was working for my own money, and that's what big men do. Big men work.
Okay.
And so I felt like I belonged. And I always wanted that sense of belonging because I was alienated, more or less, in going to school.
Right.
And now I found a group of people who more or less accepted me. I felt like, I belong. Only to realize that I didn't belong anywhere. I was trapped. By the time I discovered that I was trapped, I couldn't find my way out. So my illness progressed from there, and it progressed to the point where I started partying until I was introduced to cocaine.
Cocaine, right.
I think, quite frankly, that is when my life took a turn for the worse.
Wow, what happened?
Hell on earth started for me at that time. I was fooled into using cocaine. I used to lie with this bunch of girls who we used to frequent a disco in Shagaramas, and what they used to do is that they used to put the cocaine in the cigarette and give me the cigarette to smoke. And I fell in love with the cigarette, but they used to smoke Benson and Hedges at that time. Not many people know about Benson and Hedges because I don't even know. I don't know. I don't smoke anymore.
Well,
praise God.
I don't
so
myself.
I don't know if they
Right.
have that anymore. And until one night, they stayed so long. They used to go out on the beach and pack this cigarette with the cocaine stuff. And I came out and discovered this is what they was doing. I was buying the Benson, to get the feeling that I was getting when they gave me the cigarette. And I couldn't get that feeling. By that time, I was already doing it for probably 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
So I got to like this cocaine thing. Mind you, at that time, you had to be employed in order to do drugs. It was not as prevalent as it is now. We didn't have, like vagrants on the streets, and I'm speaking about 33 years ago.
Right.
33 years ago, I had nothing to compare myself with, nothing that would have suggested to me that this is what my life was going to become.
Okay.
You know,
So you became a vagrant eventually.
I eventually became a vagrant
Wow.
because
Okay.
I started losing interest. I leave the work, I leave the job. I lost many jobs. I couldn't hold a job down. And to me, it was like, you know, going to work is wasting time. The time I would take to go to work. I
Right.
could be on the block, you know, doing drugs.
So you prefer to be a vagrant than to
Yes.
go to work.
Yes.
Now, let's be clear here. The vagrancy that you chose is something that you chose, not that you became one.
Yeah.
You chose to become a
Yes.
vagrant.
Yeah.
Okay. You chose to live on the streets.
Yes.
You chose to live by the streets
Yes.
and by the activities that
Yes.
come with the
Because I
such
found
lifestyle.
that to be a easier, more, well, at that time it was a lifestyle.
Was it helping you?
Well, so I thought.
Okay. How long you stayed in this culture, in this occupation of vagrancy, if you like?
21 years.
21 years.
Yes, 21 years. Now, when I speak about a vagrant, let
Yes.
me make this very clear.
Sure.
I'm not speaking about the average dirty-looking person that you see on the street. I'm speaking about a person who had literally lost the capacity to feel human.
Wow.
Didn't know
Wow.
what my complexion was.
You're kidding me.
Yes, it came to that at one point. My nose couldn't stand past the scent of my own body.
Why not? What happened? You didn't go by any sandpipe or anything?
No, I didn't bathe. I got wet in the rain.
Right.
But to have a bath in 21 years, I never really, 21 years, never really took a bath.
In 21 years?
21 years.
That's something you chose, or you just didn't get a bathroom?
No, I didn't want to bathe. The bathing didn't make any sense because it didn't make any sense to me.
Right.
You know?
Because you said you lost the capacity to be human.
Yes, to feel human.
So what did you feel?
I thought I was a dog.
You thought you were a dog?
Yes.
A literal dog?
Literally, thought I was a dog.
What brought you to that realization?
And because the way people treated me. Now, at that time, in the years, as the years progressed, and the stench that was emanating from my body, it was like a garbage truck.
Wow.
You know, like when a garbage truck passes in an area, you don't have to see the garbage truck. You know that the garbage truck passed. That was my scent. That is the scent that I couldn't take. My nose couldn't stand that.
Wow.
My own scent. And I couldn't escape me because that carried me everywhere.
Right.
That was really terrible. that was really terrible. It was really terrible.
So you became a garbage truck all by yourself?
Yes.
And yet you did not want to bathe?
No.
My goodness, this is unbelievable. We have to pause right here. It gets more exciting, if you like, as we continue our discourse on I Shouldn't Be Alive. Come back in just a few moments and we'll continue this thrilling story with Michael Giles. he shouldn't be alive. Trust me. Michael Charles is our guest for today as he discusses his personal encounter with dogs. You said that you became a dog, or you thought that you were a dog.
Yes, literally thought that I was a dog. And so much so that I fought with the dogs for food.
You fought with dogs?
Yeah, I fought with the dogs for food. The only thing I had to compare myself with at that time, because of where I was mentally and physically, is the way people treated dogs.
Oh, okay.
And I saw the way they treated dogs, and I compared the way they treated me. I had this big mat on my head. I had
Right.
crab louse all over, like a unkept street dog.
Wow.
You know, that is how I was. So in my mind, this is what I was.
So you lived in a
You
drain
know?
too? You visited
Yes,
a
I
drain?
drink off. Got my water out of the canals.
You drank?
Yeah.
Oh,
And I remember one day somebody was eating a box of chicken, and it was down to the bones. And those times it was somewhere around this Cipriani statue. There was grass. There was no trees and stuff there. And the guy threw the box there. And it was a race between me and this dog.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Yes. For the chicken box, and we fought for the box. Well, obviously, I won the fight. You know, obviously, I won the fight.
And what did the dog do?
This dog didn't want to give up, Pastor.
My Lord.
The dog was determined because we were both dogs. I probably was just like an overgrown dog. Probably he
Right.
saw me as a greedy and he was
Wussy.
a turtle or something because I was just taller.
Right.
You know, I could, looking back, I could laugh at that now, but I
Right.
mean, it was very
Yes,
real.
yeah.
By the time I got there, well, it had happened so quickly that it had ants
Wow.
in the box.
Wow.
And it didn't make a difference with me. It really didn't make a difference. So I would eat that because there's where I got my fill.
Okay.
Because I couldn't go to people and ask for food and stuff.
Right.
People would burst my head for passing in close proximity to where I work.
Burst your head.
Yes.
My Lord.
And I have these scars to prove.
Oh gosh, Lord have mercy.
You know?
Okay.
People would burst my head and stuff, you know.
So as a vagrant, I imagine you would have gone all over the place.
Yes, I used to walk from Port of Spain to as far as Point.
You say point, where's it? Point up here?
Point 14.
Point 14.
Yes, I used to walk, and then I used to walk up the first. I used to pass through, you know, the old Southern Main
Oh, the
Road.
Southern Main Road, that's right,
Right,
that's right.
until they constructed the highway.
Right.
Because I remained out there for a lot of years, 21 years, and that's
Right.
a long time. Because so even when they constructed the highway, I was still out there, and so you can imagine what it was like for me at that time. I
Right.
was really gone.
Wow.
Really, listen. I was so far gone that I refused to look at myself in the store glasses because I didn't want to look upon my own self
Wow.
because of what I was reduced to.
Wow. Oh, wow.
You know,
So in terms of your complexion and stuff, I mean,
I didn't know what my complexion was.
You didn't know what it was.
I didn't know what my
So you
complexion.
didn't know you looked so handsome and stuff. You didn't know that.
No. I saw me for the very first time in 21 years when I had a bath.
Oh,
And
man.
even then, I thought that the people who gave me that bath did wickedness to me. I thought that they put bleach in the water. You know, and
Oh my Lord.
I was mindful at that time to leave. It was in a rehab that I was introduced to.
But before we get to the rehab, where they did the wickedness to you, was there any time that you felt that God was, well, maybe in retrospect, did you see God's hand in your life? Maybe in some experience you had when you were on the streets?
Yes. You know, prior to all of that, there would be times when people would come and tell me about this God who is able, you know, and boy, why you out here? And there's a God who loves you. And I was like, if there is a God, if there is a God who loves me, why am I going through this? Why me
Right.
out of everybody else? I mean, I came from a large family. Why I had to be the one, you know? And so who is this God that is so loving that would, but I saw the hand of God and firsthand when I And one night, I remember I was traveling up the highway.
You're
The highway
traveling, mean
was,
walking.
yes, well, on my
P2.
my P2.
All right.
And I became exhausted, and there was this little shed on the side of the road, and decided that I would bunker there for the night. And in the middle of the night, I didn't know what time it was. It could have been around midnight. For some reason, I felt very uncomfortable, and so much so that I got up from where I was, and I couldn't understand, Pastor, why I got up from that shed, and I went into the bushes and lie down where I felt very uncomfortable,
Wow.
but safe.
Look at that.
Uncomfortable, but safe.
It's amazing. That's amazing.
And because of the amount of drugs that I had consumed that day, I fell asleep and I was cold out and had no clue until I awoke the next morning
Right.
to realize that a truck ran off the highway that night, took the shed, and went about half mile down inside the bush. I was going to be killed instantly.
And you would not have known because you were
No.
cold out, you know.
No, I was cold out. And so I would not even been here to share this, you know. So and then when that happened, something in me
Right.
started to awake, you know. I said there had to be something more to this whole thing that I don't understand.
Right.
You know?
Okay. So tell us how that happened, how the turnaround started.
The turnaround started with when I remember when I was just a teenager. Yeah, I was a teenager when my father used to frequent this place, and that he used to take me. I was more or less kind of his favorite son. And in that yard, there was this young girl child. And every time I go to this yard, she would come by a particular window and put her hands like this and keep staring into my eyes. And if I stayed in that yard for 4 hours, she would stay by that window staring at me. And sometimes her mom would be trying to get her away from the window, and she would be stretched out like this, you know? And every time I got to that place, her whole countenance would just light up, and she'd be like, Michael, Michael. And it's almost like if, you know, she saw today, you know? And I had the opportunity of seeing her grow up to be a very tender age, and then I ended up on the street, you know? Until one day I was salvaging stuff from my favorite dumpster.
From the buffet.
Yes. And God, I knew that God kept me, because in that dumpster, Pastor, there were rodents walking over my feet. I was just, to me, I was just like an overgrown rodent.
Wow.
Because they were having their fill in that corner, and this was my corner, my usual corner, and they knew that. So they stayed on that side, and I was on this side, and I was having my fill. And there was a commotion out of the bin. So I looked out, and I saw this young lady, this beautiful young lady, you know, giving somebody that I knew to be doing drugs money. So I came out, and I approached this young lady very cautiously, because I was really afraid, because of the fact that people would hit me, and I was set on fire, you know, and all that. I was shot at. I was shot at, literally shot at, and all of that. And so very cautiously, I approached this young lady, and I had this big mat on my head. I had crabs all in my eyebrows, the stench emanating from my body, and nobody knew who I was. Even the very people that I sat in the same bench in school that was passing me straight, family members, because of what I was reduced to. Nobody knew, even though I was crying out. People would look at me and pass me straight. And under all of that, God again, she saw me. Under that, she saw me, so I knew then. It continued to awaken this thing in me. And she said, Michael? And I froze when she called my name, because who is this person calling my name? But as I drew closer to her, her eyes are very distinct. I recognize the little child, you know, that same little child in whose yard I used to be.
Right.
And she was the production coordinator of a company at the then time. And she said to me, she said, I told her that I was doing drugs after she inquired why I was in the condition that I was in. And she said, if you go to this place, she bought me $200 in toiletries and stuff, and she gave me a $20 bill and a paper. And she said, if you go to this place, I will follow you. And I went to the block, I did drugs, I sold the groceries to fast forward, and I cried for 14 days because here it is the God that everybody was telling me about, give me an opportunity. And I allowed the devil to just take it away from me.
Mike, I want you to pause it right there because we'll have to continue this testimony shortly. But I want you to first of all tell us, as we wind this segment up, what would you want to tell somebody who perhaps is in the same predicament that you were in, or knows of anybody like that, and doesn't believe that there is a God, but they're listening, somehow they happen to come and turn on the television looking at you? What would you tell them? Look at the camera and tell them.
God, restorative power, is at work. I am a living testimony to the goodness of God. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is taken from Joel chapter 21 to 25, where God made a promise to us. He promised to restore that which the palmer worm and the cankerworm has eaten, and that which the locust and the caterpillar has eaten as well. And if God was able to take my feet out of the miry clay and place it upon the solid rock, then God can do the same for you. I encourage you to give God a chance today in your life.
I could not have said it better. Michael Charles, once a vagrant, but now he is a servant of God. In fact, he tells me he's an evangelist for the Lord. I thank God for what he has done in Michael's life, but he is not stingy concerning his blessings. He can do it in your life as well. Just turn it over to him and watch him work. Thank you for taking the time to be with us, and we look forward to having you once again on JC 24/7.
Thank you for viewing JC 24/7. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and remember to inspire your living as you prepare for heaven. You can get it all on JC 24/7.